is occupied territory. It's governed by military law. The commander of military forces in the West Bank is the government and the legislature and the judge and jury. I mean, that's the way occupation works. So in fact, it's not the Knesset that passes laws in occupied territory. It's the military that, I mean, you just sign military orders. That's the lawmaking process in the West Bank. And but the military has passed a series of military orders that say Israelis in the West Bank will be governed by Israeli law. So then you have people, in some cases literally living side by side, being governed by two different legal systems and in a very discriminatory manner. I mean, military law is quite restrictive, does not have all of the rights and privileges and freedoms that we take for granted in a liberal democracy, and that also apply inside Israel. I mean, everything from the criminal code. Two people commit the same crime in the same area. If you're Israeli, you're going to be tried in an Israeli criminal court. If you're a Palestinian, you'll be tried in a military court. I mean, and then that also applies to, I mean, really everything. I don't know if you've gone into it, you've toured around a settlement.
Yeah, around.
I mean, settlements are little islands of Israel, right, in the middle of occupied territory. In some cases, when you're talking about settlements that are close to the Israeli border, it's quite clear that even some of the people living there don't realize they're living in occupied territory. I mean, it looks like Israel. It feels like Israel. You get there from, fast highways that you don't even necessarily notice you're going through a checkpoint. So Israel has done a really good job of blurring the line between what is Israel and what are the settlements. So that's, I mean, for all those reasons, it's sort of the first priority for B'Tselem, one of our main issues, both for research and for advocacy, related to the settlements. The second issue is the closure on the Gaza Strip, and you're not traveling to Gaza. And most people who come don't travel to Gaza because it's so difficult. I mean, Gaza has really been sealed off, both from the West Bank, and you're talking about, same community, family, economic ties, but for 7 years that Gaza and the West Bank have really been cut off one from the other. I mean, it's a hardship in terms of all aspects of life in Gaza. Certainly from the economic perspective, that Gaza is a tiny area that was really dependent on economic ties with Israel and the West Bank. I mean, producing both agriculture for export, and you had a lot of light industry, little factories that were, producing furniture and textiles. All of that has shut down now because you can't get goods in and you can't get goods out. And then you also have Hamas in control of Gaza, a very, repressive government or authority. And I mean, I think the two are related. The fact that Gaza is so isolated from the outside world then is only sort of fueling the extremism and the social repression. Increasing religious extremism and restrictions on women and Christians, and so we are focusing primarily on Israel's responsibilities in Gaza. You have two human rights organizations in Gaza that are also looking at human rights violations by the Hamas government. But I mean, for Israelis, Gaza is, it's not even on the map anymore, right? We pulled our troops out of Gaza, we pulled the settlements out of Gaza. It's like an independent country as far as most Israelis are concerned. We don't have any responsibility there. Every once in a while they shoot rockets at us and then we, bomb them back. But the idea that Israel still has a lot of control, I mean, the fact that you're controlling all the borders, controlling all the imports and exports, people moving, all of those things, it's very difficult to get that message across to the Israeli public. And then maybe the third issue that I would mention is the broad problem of accountability. And accountability is the heart of, I think, human rights organizations around the world. The idea that if you're mistreated by police or soldiers or anybody, there should be some recourse, people should be investigated and held accountable. And that's a lot of the daily work of B'Tselem when we get complaints about violence, people killed and injured, really a broad range of complaints about mistreatment by military or other authorities. We're sending those complaints to law enforcement authorities, asking that investigations be opened, pushing and pushing and pushing to get those investigations conducted in a serious way. It's really an uphill battle. I mean, again, even to get the investigation open, to get a Palestinian witness taken seriously, if there's a soldier who says no, it didn't happen that way. In the vast majority of cases, soldiers will not be held accountable for mistreating Palestinians. I mean, it's the rare cases rather than the what you would want to be the rule. And here, one of our newer projects, and this is the project that UCC supported last year, promoting the accountability. We now have distributed cameras in the West Bank and Gaza. We're working with about 200 Palestinian volunteers that get cameras from us, and then we're sort of training them and supporting them, and they're filming. I mean, if it's the weekly demonstrations against the separation barrier and the settlements, or areas that are always at risk of violence by some of these extremist settler groups, house demolitions, I mean, really a whole range of problems. They're filming, and then the video is used both as a public education tool. I mean, we put it on YouTube, and it gets in the evening news, and that's a way of generating more awareness and discussion, but also as a tool for accountability. I mean, it's if you actually see settlers attacking Palestinians, they can't say, well, we don't know who it was, or that the sort of different versions of what actually happened are narrowed when you have the video. So the video is proving also effective in promoting accountability and in the public education activities. There's a lot of other issues that we're dealing with, but maybe I stop there. And if you want to ask about specific issues that I didn't touch on, or more broadly, it's maybe too overwhelming, too much detail.